The Blue Jays are the last obstacle between the 2025 Dodgers and baseball immortality. And yes, Shohei Ohtani will be en route to Toronto, but to break their hearts in a different way.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's time for Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The 2025 World Series is set. Los Angeles versus Toronto. Dodgers against Giants. Shohei, Vladdy Jr. Here we go. For Mookie Betts' redemption arc to Tanner Scott's rather uncomfortable journey back to the roster. We've got a lot to unpack as the Fall Classic awaits, Travis.
We're finally here. We finally know who they're going to play, and I cannot wait to get it started. And today's episode of Locked On Dodgers is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off of your first purchase.
He's Travis Rodgers. I'm Harry Ruiz. Two guys who talk sports for a living and bleed Dodger blue for life. You can get more Travis on 710 ESPN LA or the ESPN LA app from 3 to 6 p.m. Pacific with the Travis and DeMarco show. As for me, I'm the Spanish play-by-play broadcaster for the USC Football Trojans and the Las Vegas Raiders. But nothing beats jumping on the mic every weekday morning and diving deep into what I love most, talking Dodger baseball with you. Thank you for helping us reach the biggest numbers in this show's YouTube channel's history. If you haven't, please subscribe, leave a like and a comment, as we love seeing what you have to say. Also, hit us up on our listener line, 279-3LOCKED or 279-356-2533. Leave us your name, where you're tuning in from, and your take on Dodger baseball to potentially be featured in our show. All right, the Toronto Blue Jays are officially the 2025 American League champions. They outlasted the Yankees in the ALDS, went 7-1 against the Mariners in the ALCS, and now they're about to host Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers in Game 1 of the World Series. And here's where baseball's sense of humor really shines. Remember back in December 2023, when John Morosi tweeted that Shohei Ohtani was on a plane to Toronto, he was en route to Toronto to sign with the Blue Jays. Turns out that wasn't Ohtani. It was Robert Hitchcock from Shark Tank. Now Ohtani will literally be en route to be boarding a flight to Toronto, but to break the Blue Jays' heart in a different way, Travis.
Yeah, I think that Toronto is the only place, and I'm being serious here for a second, it's the only place I can remember Ohtani ever getting booed. Right? That when he went to Toronto for the first time as a member of the Dodgers, they booed him for reasons that still don't make sense to me. He didn't say he was on a plane to Toronto. He didn't mislead anybody. There was an inaccurate report that he was there, and it was the Shark Tank guy, like you mentioned, and not Shohei Ohtani. So I am excited to see what the reaction to him is, because everybody loves Ohtani, even people that hate the Dodgers. And let's be honest, Harry, there are a lot of those right now. There are a lot of people out there that cannot stand what the Dodgers have been doing, but nobody dislikes Shohei Ohtani. Nobody roots against Ohtani because they don't like Ohtani, but Toronto seems to have some feelings for him. So I can't wait to see it, and congratulations to Toronto too, because Toronto finished in last place in the American League East last year. They were 20 games out of first place last season. They were 5th out of 5 teams. And here they are, not only in the World Series, but hosting the World Series. And they played as well as anybody. I mean, obviously a much closer call than the Dodgers had, but I think it's going to be a great series. And you know me, I'm a uniform guy. I love how things look, and that Toronto matchup is going to look amazing on TV. I can't wait to see it.
No doubt about it. Blue versus blue, I'll take it. The Blue Jays finished the regular season with a 94-68 record. That was the best in the American League. Third best in all of baseball. You know who they were? Who was better than them? The two teams that the Dodgers already bounced in the postseason, the Phillies and the Brewers, or the Brewers first, the Phillies second, and now you got the Blue Jays with the third best record. They were tied with the Yankees, but they got the tiebreaker, so they got to go directly to the ALDS. Look at their balanced attack. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who's been on a heater in the postseason, George Springer, Dalton Varsho, and we could keep going on and on, but those three guys, they're keeping the spotlight right now. And let's not forget the rotation. Kevin Gausman, Trey Savage, this rookie who's been killing it right now after having 3 starts in the regular season. Now in the playoffs, he's their number 2 starter. Shane Bieber, they're their starters. And then they have Max Scherzer, Lewis Varland available to start games as well, or Chris Bassett, who has only pitched 2 2/3 innings since September 19th. They have him there as well. So this Toronto Blue Jays, I feel that this is going to be a great challenge for the boys in blue. And then you also have to include the travel, Travis. Personally, in my opinion, the Dodgers are going to whoop that, you know what, no matter who they were going to play in the World Series, either the Blue Jays or the Mariners. I just preferred the Mariners. That way they could fly from LAX to Seattle and back, and it's an easy trip. When you go all the way to Toronto, that's a long road trip. But, hey, you know what? You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup because I think the Toronto thing maybe has some players that maybe some people that don't follow the American League particularly closely might recognize. I mean, Cal Raleigh hit 60 home runs. I think everybody knows who that is. Julio Rodriguez is a star, so I think people know who that is. And Eugenio Suarez is a guy that was in the National League West for a long time in Arizona, so you're familiar with how good of a player he was. But Toronto is a dangerous team. You got the mega star in Vlad Jr. So that's a guy that I think people are familiar with. But outside of that, there are a bunch of young guys. They play really good defense. Like you mentioned, Harry, they pitch like crazy. And here's the part that scares me. The Dodgers have better players. Okay. The Dodgers have a deeper roster. They have more star power, et cetera, et cetera. Those guys do the things, though, that are really important. They don't strike out a ton. Their pitchers don't walk a lot of guys. They don't make errors. And that's kind of the formula to beat a team that is better than you. To beat a team that has more talent than you do is to play cleanly, is to not give free outs, is to not give extra base runners. And that's the thing that Toronto does really, really well. They're playing with house money. This was not a team that coming out of spring training like the Dodgers was, they're going to win 100 games. They're going to win their division. Let's just get to the postseason and see what happens. Like I mentioned, this was a last place team a year ago. That they made the playoffs was a successful season. That they advanced in the playoffs was a successful season. That they won a pennant is a uber successful season. So they're going to come in loose. They have nothing to fear, nothing to lose for. I think it's going to be a great World Series. The Dodgers obviously will be favored, but I don't think this is, put it to you this way. When they were going to play the Reds, we all knew they were going to kill the Reds. When they played the Brewers, it felt like we kind of knew that they were going to kill the Brewers. The Phillies was one of those series that's like, yeah, man, I don't know. Let's see what happens. The Phillies were a challenging matchup. I put the Blue Jays in that Phillies category, not because they have as much talent as Philadelphia, but because they're loose, they're free, they're experienced, they're one step from the finish line. I expect the Blue Jays to be the hardest out we've seen them play since they ran into the Phillies in the DS.
And look at this, too. For everybody that's crying foul right now about, the Dodgers, they're ruining baseball. Oh, look at that huge payroll. That would have been a good argument if the Dodgers were playing the Mariners in the World Series, because the Mariners, they're like number 16 payroll. Right now, the Blue Jays, they're top 5. So you're not talking about a team that is like, oh, my God, yes, they were pretty bad in their division last year. Like you said, Travis, last place. They're a damn good team. They spent money on that team. I'll give them a lot of credit. They did what other teams don't do. They gave Vladimir Guerrero Jr. the 3rd biggest contract in all of baseball. They could have let him walk, and no, they gave him a $500 million deal to stay in Toronto. That's what you do with your big stars. And I hate it that owners, now they want to put a cap to just be like, the top stars don't deserve all the money that they should be getting. If you're a top guy, you should get paid, not just be like, no, you should get paid, but not more than this, because now we're committing a lot of money in the future. Look at this. They played Vladdy. They're in the World Series right now. It's not only about getting paid. It's about, hey, you feel loved. You feel appreciated. You were already giving your 100%. Now you're going to give 120% when you're feeling appreciated, and Toronto did the thing, and look at them now.
Yeah, no, they're a good example of what you would hope your team would do if your team was Toronto's not a small market. Don't get me wrong. It's a big market.
44 million people.
Yeah, it's a big place, but they drafted the right guy, and then they developed the right guy, and now they paid the right guy. Like that's how this is supposed to go. And then you can supplement it with smart moves by going out and picking up a guy like Bieber at the deadline, by going out and getting a Scherzer who may or may not have been at the end of the line and throwing him in there, finding some other guys that are going to really kind of get Savage that you mentioned, that all of a sudden it's like, wow, where did this guy come from? This is how you do it. It's not just scratching big checks. It's scratching a big check occasionally when you have a special player like Guerrero is, and then making sure that you supplement them with the right guys. So they've certainly shown that you can go from bad to good very, very quickly. I think it's a good example of what you'd like to see some other teams do. But yeah, it costs money. The most nice things cost money, Harry. and a nice player like Vladimir Guerrero or Freddie Freeman or Mookie Betts and certainly Shohei Ohtani, they cost a lot of money. And if you want to run in this circle, this is what it takes. You're gonna have to pay your way in for a large part.
Exactly. The problem for the Blue Jays here, though, the Dodgers, they're coming in red hot. They're red hot. They've won 9 out of their first 10 playoff games. They've done it with dominant pitching, clutch defense, timely power. And you always talk about the baseball gods, Travis, and right here they're winking at us. This matchup, it's got star power on both sides. It's got storylines and international flavor. It's U.S. versus Canada. It's Kendrick Lamar City versus Drake City. Everything Major League Baseball could have dreamed of. Remember last year we had Ice Cube open up game 2 for the Dodgers, and you had Fat Joe over in New York. Like Hernandez, it was done. Now it would be amazing if some way, somehow the Dodgers could get Kendrick Lamar to sing They Not Like Us before game 3 after Drake might be doing something out there in the 6th.
I would imagine somebody's on the phone with somebody right now working on some stuff. I would. It's just too perfect because look, whether it's the Lakers, whether it's the Dodgers, whether it's any of the A teams in Los Angeles, when it comes to putting on a show, when everybody knows that the whole world is watching, and you go, oh, watch this. We know how to roll it out, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's what we get. It would be terrific. I don't know if Drake would be up for it on the other end. I don't know if he's looking to go through that again, but I sure hope that we do it on our end. That would be fantastic.
Absolutely, and you know what? They got first serve, so we'll see what they come up with. And then we can just put the knockout blow with this series. Well, speaking of stars, one of the brightest in LA found his spark again just in time. Next on Locked On Dodgers, Mookie Betts went from saying his season was over to being one of the biggest reasons the Dodgers are back in the World Series.
The NFL season is here, and FanDuel's got an offer that you are not going to want to miss, because right now, if you're a new customer to FanDuel, you can bet just $5. And when you bet just $5, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You can pick any bet. You just put down $5, and if that bet hits, you're going to unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app however you would like to do it. If you like parlays, FanDuel has parlays for you. If you're like Trav, not a huge fan of parlays. What I do like are player props. Great. FanDuel's got player props for you as well. And maybe you're this guy. Maybe you're like, you know what? I like to see what's going on in the game. I like to get some live odds, live lines during games at FanDuel. It makes watching football, the baseball playoffs, the NBA starts tonight. A little something extra riding on the action makes it even better. So whether you're a casual or you love diving deep into those stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience that much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started.
Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track. And that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch's visual dashboards and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where my money's going and how to make it work harder for me. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at Monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's Monarch.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Don't forget to follow Locked On Dodgers not only on YouTube, but on X, Instagram, and TikTok as well. You can find Travis on social media at Travis Rodgers on X and Instagram. Meanwhile, I'm at Harry Ruiz on X, at Harry_Ruiz on Instagram, and at Harry Ruiz_ on TikTok. If there's one story that captures the heart of this Dodgers run right now, it's Mookie Betts. Let's rewind to early August. We covered it here. All our everydayers know all about it. Mookie said it himself. My season's kind of over. We're going to have to chalk that up for not a great season. Travis, at that moment, we were all like kind of clicking the panic button. It's like, we can't have one of our leaders saying this kind of thing. He was hitting under 260. His power had dipped and the frustration was clear. But baseball has a funny way of writing comebacks, and Mookie's script flipped real fast over the final 6 weeks of the regular season.
Yeah, it did. And I don't think he was quitting. I think what it was just incredible frustration for him personally, right? That Mookie was out there. If anything, I think it was him grinding so hard that he almost pushed himself past that point of productivity. It's point you almost need to back up. It's one of those try easier situations. Just relax, let the game come back to you. And he really had to have that moment of, you know what? I can't save the year. I can't. When you go to Baseball Reference, if you are still a baseball card person like I am, on the back of the base, it's going to look weird. It's going to be like, what happened to Mookie Betts in 2025? What do you mean he hit 230? What did he miss a bunch of time? Was he hurt? Like, it was going to look weird. There was no way to fix it. And once, instead of like, well, if I get 2 hits tonight, it'll be fixed. Or if I get 3 hits tonight, it'll be fixed. It's like, hey man, I just got to lean into it, and I just got to play baseball, and whatever happens, happens. I'm not going to be able to pull this thing out. And once you kind of give yourself over to that, and not in like I'll just think that I'm going to turn the page. You actually have to just say, it's not going to happen. All right, let's just start over from here and see what it was. When that happened, you know what happened, Harry? He turned back into Mookie Betts almost instantly. It happened like almost overnight, just boom, it was right there. Now, when he said, this is just not going to be a good year for me, let me just kind of button it up with this. If the Dodgers can win the World Series, if the Dodgers win the 2025 World Championship, Mookie Betts would be the only player in baseball currently with 4 World Series rings. He'd be the only one. There's a lot of people in Major League Baseball, right? There's 26 guys times 30 teams. That's a lot of guys. He's the only one that would currently be a 4-time world champion. So that's a pretty good way for the season to end, considering that the stats didn't, line up the way that he wanted. And not only did he kind of even off and get back going with his bat and everything else, he's been clutch. He's made some unbelievable defensive plays. He's a finalist for a Gold Glove Award, which he is certainly worthy of. It has been not only a good season, it has a chance to be a historically good season because it can end with a World Series, his 4th ever. And the list of guys that have won 4 more World Series is really, really short. We know he's going to the Hall of Fame already. That's been a lock for a couple of seasons now, but he's kind of climbing the ranks among Hall of Famers if he could get that 4th World Series right.
And I feel a lot of it had to do maybe trying to play hero ball, because let's remember that July, August, that was tough for the Dodgers. They were in very hard slumps as a team, individually. I remember it was like Will Smith and the rest of the players. It was like Will Smith was producing consistently and everybody else was in a roller coaster, but mostly one of those kiddie roller coasters that is pretty low and had low falls, not one that goes really high and then goes low. No, it was like one of those kiddie roller coasters. Like Will Smith was up here and everybody was down there. Mookie Betts was part of that, and that is super rare. You look at Mookie Betts' career all the way from when he started in Boston to now being the Dodgers guy, and it's been a model of very high level baseball, one of the best WAR players in the sport. And then this year was just the outlier. And still, look at them now. Look at the Dodgers in the position that they are. Why? Because they have a great roster, but then when it mattered most towards the end of the season, when they were chasing that divisional title to be able to keep it in LA and avoid having to play on the road in the wild card, Mookie Betts was one of those guys. There was controversy too with him playing shortstop, and I remember getting a lot of comments on the YouTube sections where it was like, man, get Mookie back to right field. He just wants to add something else else fun to his resume, saying he was a full-time shortstop in 2025 and add to he's already a Hall of Famer. It doesn't matter if he retires tomorrow. He's going to be a first ballot kind of guy. Him right now, he loves challenges. If he wants to play shortstop, cool. I feel like it was more of like, okay, we didn't play Corey Seager what he wanted, and he went over to the Rangers. Okay, we got a guy that's earning $325 million to play right field. Let's have him play one of the premier positions in baseball at shortstop. And look, Shohei's one of those guys that I remember joking with you, Travis, that a comment just said, Shohei can't do it all. He can't play catcher. I was like, yeah, you know what? I wouldn't bet against it. And same thing with Mookie Betts. I wouldn't bet against it. Yeah, I wouldn't bet against him either. And I love it that Mookie, he just had this incredible turnaround. He's shutting up critics, and that he's proving that, hey, you know what? He's 20, 21, 22, 6 years into his 12-year contract, and he's still playing at a very high level.
It's a good reminder of never tell a great athlete he can't do something. Never think that a guy that is as talented and as motivated and as smart and as dedicated and as competitive as somebody like Mookie Betts is, oh, no, you can't do that. Oh, yeah? Watch this. Because he did do it. I was wrong. A lot of people were wrong. I thought it was a mistake. It obviously has worked out at an incredibly high level. And I've always had a theory, and this is just me spitballing and coming up with stuff here, but I think part of the reason he took on that challenge, number one, the most obvious reason is the reason they needed him to, right? They didn't have someone else on the team that was as good at it as he potentially could be. As good as Miggy Rojas has been, having Mookie in your lineup every day at short is different than having Miguel Rojas out there. It's just obviously is. And I love Miggy, but it's just a totally different thing. So number one, they needed it. But number two, I wonder, and this is just me with a wild ass theory here, if seeing Shohei up close and seeing Shohei do what he did, where he can hit the way he can hit and he can pitch the way he can pitch, if he didn't say, how can I challenge myself? How can I elevate my own game? Maybe I can't do that, but what can I do that's the closest thing to that? What if I went from an outfield position to the middle of the diamond on the other side of 30, having not done it since I was really a high school and minor league player? What if I did that right now? What sort of challenge would that present to myself? And I don't know if that isn't just one of those things that the residual benefits of having Shohei in the building is everyone else starts to question, hey, what else can I do? If that's possible for him, what's possible for me? I've always thought that might have at least had a small part of him challenging himself to go do that.
And Travis, I'm looking up like players that started playing in the 2000s that actually won at least 4 World Series, and I'm bumping into just 2 guys: Javier Lopez, Pablo Sandoval. That's it.
And Jeter, and all those Yankees
that started playing in the 2000s.
Oh, okay, yeah. You're right.
You're talking about the last quarter century, and it's not a lot of them.
It's not many. It is a very, very small group of guys.
Because, you can talk about Yogi Berra winning 10, Joe DiMaggio, but you're talking about guys playing in the 30s and the 40s, in the 50s. We got a mutual friend in JT the Brick that loves being 26 World Series championships. It's like, JT, you weren't even born when they won those, man. Come on. It's like, you talk about the recency, and it's like, okay, it's like, I honestly wanted the Dodgers to play the Yankees again in the World Series just to beat them again. And
think about this,
it's like miserable.
The Dodgers have an opportunity. Freddie Freeman's got a chance for his 3rd. Max Muncy's got a chance for his 3rd. Shohei Ohtani's got a chance for his 2nd. Clayton Kershaw's got a chance for his 3rd. Like there's a lot of guys on this team that are going to start stacking up, and guys are going to Kike Hernandez could have his 3rd. Like you're just going to have a bunch of guys that are going to be in a very, very small group of players. But Mookie's still elevated above the rest of them. It's extraordinary.
Mookie's a definition of leadership. He owned his struggles. He put in the work and responded when the lights are the brightest. And for a Dodgers team that's thrived on resilience all season long, Mookie's revival is the heartbeat of that clubhouse. All right, the bullpen, they haven't been used much in the postseason, but with Tanner Scott back from one of the strangest injuries you'll ever hear about, do the Dodgers even need him in the back end of this bullpen during the World Series? Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, we'll talk about it.
There's nothing quite like catching a baseball game live. We're talking about the energy that is inescapable, right? The crowd, the chance to see your team with your own two eyes. Imagine being at that game the other night, but actually getting your tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees. It can honestly suck a lot of the fun out of it. That's why I like to use Game Time. It's the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time, it's fast, it's easy, it's backed by the Game Time guarantee, and you're always going to get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. Let me tell you that again, because this is my favorite part about Game Time. You ever go to some of these other places, you're like, oh, okay, I like that ticket, I like that price. Click, 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 and you're just about to check out. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's not even close to what we started with, because they're just hammering you with fees as you start on your way out the door. They're not doing that at Game Time. So the price you see is the price you pay. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDON MLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today.
Thanks for making us your first listen wherever you may be tuning in, either on your favorite podcast app or our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Smash that notification bell so you never miss a beat. Full episodes, hot takes, breaking Dodgers news, and the Dodgers postcast show with Pete Fox live after the final out of every game. If it drops, you're on it. That's how you become an everydayer here on Locked On Dodgers. All right, let's talk about Tanner Scott. And yes, this story is wild. Scott was taken off the Dodgers roster after game 1 of the NLDS with what the team called a lower body injury. But then John Heyman from the New York Post dropped the real scoop. Scott was dealing with an abscess in his butt. Yeah, you heard that right. Heyman wrote, and I quote, "The Dodgers are calling closer Tanner Scott's injury a lower body injury. And let's just say he's hoping to put it behind him." Scott called it an infection, while a Dodgers official called it a cyst, end quote. Now, the good news, he's back with the team. Good for him. He's healthy. He's ready. But here's the big question. Do they actually need him right now, Travis?
I think they do. I mean, I know that they got through 3 rounds so far without him. I know that he did not pitch well for them this season. I know that he has been, one of those guys you see warming up in the pen, and Dodger fans cover their faces in terror that he's going to come in and blow the game. But I said it all season long. I said it going into the playoffs, and I still believe it, even though it hasn't become true yet. There's going to come a time where you're going to need him to pitch. There's going to come a time where you're going to need him to get now. Maybe it's not in the 9th inning. I'm almost certain it won't be in the 9th inning. But look, I know we'll spend some time talking about this as we get closer to Friday and the game starting. The Dodgers pitching the way they have, that's not normal, right? It is not normal to have your starters go 7, 8, and 9 innings and use the bullpen as sparsely as the Dodgers did through those 3 rounds. That's not going to continue to happen like that through 4, 5, 6, 7 games, whatever this World Series ends up going. You're going to need to use your bullpen. You're going to need to use your bullpen early in games, probably at least once or twice. I hope not, but math will tell you that you're going to need to use these guys at some point. And Tanner Scott is still one of your better arms. He's still a guy that can get people out. I know that he struggled. So yeah, I think you include him. I think that you might need him. And it's not like he's taking someone else's spot who you can't live without. I would definitely put him on the roster if in fact he's available to go.
Yeah, the question would be, do you trust him over guys like Dreyer, Robleski, Kasparius, who were in the NLCS roster, and they give Dave Roberts options in middle relief. And the hope is we don't need middle relief, that we just need the 7th, 8th, 9th innings to be taken care of. Do you trust them there in the high leverage situations more than Tanner Scott, which personally my take, I've seen enough of
let me ask
and
you this.
Dodger Blue, but
I hear you, and I'm not trying to argue that he pitched well. He didn't, and he just did not. A situation in, let's call it the 6th inning, where you need to get a left-handed hitter out. You're not going to use Vezina because you're going to need him later in the game probably, and your choice is between Tanner Scott or Clayton Kershaw. Okay, that's what I'm saying. It's not as easy as it sounds. It's one of those. Yeah. I get that Tanner Scott has been really. So is Kershaw. You know, and it's one of those, like, Tanner Scott at least has the possibility of just throwing 3 nasty pitches that guys can't catch up with. There's not a great role for either one of those guys, but if it came down to one or the other, I'm not so sure I wouldn't go with Scott.
Kershaw right now, he's getting the spot because he is retiring, because it might be his last game. That's why he's on the roster right now, and because he had a pretty good regular season. Not a pretty good. He had an above average, a good regular season. But we saw him in that game against the Phillies where it was like, oh boy. But the reality too is he got out of that first inning he pitched. Yes, he had his issues. He got hard contact against him. It wasn't nice, but he got out of it. Right now, as a diehard Dodgers fan that has watched all of Kershaw's career, unlike other players in the past, I would be like, you know what? Die with your own guy. If you're going down, go with the guy that you have. You know he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. You know that everybody's rocking number 22 at Dodger Stadium for a long time, for a long future to come, that everybody's going to be rocking that Hall of Fame jersey. I would say go with Kershaw in that case, and I would even trust the younger guys over Scott because I've seen enough. I get your point too, Travis, and it's very, very valid. But I'm one of those boo birds at Dodger Stadium that when I see Tanner Scott coming out, I'm like, I don't care, man. He might get that out, but when he's coming out, I'm like, oh boy.
I get it. He's had a terrible year, and I'm not. But the next time I need to see Clayton Kershaw is on the stage in center field at Dodger Stadium, holding up a trophy, celebrating with the Dodger fans again. Like I've seen that movie in October way too many times. I do not need to see it again. Let's use Jack Dreyer in that situation. I think we'll go with option C, none of the above.
Hey, look, the cool part is 92 innings the Dodgers have played so far this postseason because they had that extra inning game in the NLCS. The Dodgers bullpen has been used in 30% of them. That's insane. I know that it's not sustainable to think that Yoshinobu Yamamoto is going to have another complete game, that you're going to have Blake Snell going 8 innings and doing as incredible as he did with 8 shutout innings.
You're going to need it.
But you're going to need that bullpen. At the same time, I'll say this. Roki Sasaki, Alex Vesia, Anthony Banda, even Blake Trinan. They took care of business towards the end. So I got these 4 guys. I feel good with the way the Dodgers are set up right now, especially with the week off and having Bobby Miller and other guys throwing live BP for the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium at the moment. So that's my take. Right now, I've seen enough of Scott in Dodger Blue. Travis is like, thumbs up. We might need him. So what do you think? Hit us up either on our listener line or in the comment section here on YouTube. That'll do it for today's episode of Locked On Dodgers. The Blue Jays are waiting. The stage is set. The Dodgers are chasing history, looking to go back-to-back for the first time in franchise history. If you're still craving more baseball talk, have the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night be your second listen. Every game, every night, until a World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find it on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Tune in tomorrow, Wednesday, as we're going to have a difference makers episode. Who really decides Dodgers Jays? The names that will swing the World Series. We appreciate you riding with us. Until next time, keep it real. Keep it Dodger Blue.